Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Fiverr Talks YouTube channel. I'm so glad that you're here because honestly, where else would you be? You can't leave your house right now, most of you. It's fun to make light of it because we need that to stay sane. But at the same time, I really hope that you're all well and you're safe. I hope that you are staying home. Hope that you're social distancing for the sake of everybody out there in the world, keeping those that are vulnerable and elderly safe. So stay home. Do your part to keep coronavirus at bay and stop the spread. And in the meantime, we're going to learn some fun stuff right here on YouTube. I'm going to be teaching you how to use times like this to your advantage as a seller. Last week, I talked a little bit about how you could use the extra time that you have from something like the coronavirus quarantine to start something new, and how that's really important to engage your mind and continue to be really kind of looking forward to new things when you're in this moment. But today, I wanted to talk about how that works itself out in an existing business. Not necessarily how you start something brand new, but what do you do if you have an existing business and a time like this hits and everything dips? Well, even though it's all a part of the cycle, and like we talked about last week, it's like a wave in the ocean, things go up and things go down. There are some things you can do to ward off these big dips when things get a little bit crazy, whether it be for a virus or an election or a holiday. And that's what I like to call the art of the pivot.
Pivot! Pivot! Pivot!
That's right, Ross. Pivoting is important. In fact, I believe I owe my entire career and current business to pivoting, because when I started selling on Fiverr, all I was selling was voice acting services. I wasn't even really a voice actor, but I had a studio microphone, had a little bit of experience in public speaking, and I thought, I can do this. I can learn how to EQ things. I can learn how to make things sound good in a computer, but I have a voice and I have a talent to speak, to talk, to read, and so I put that to work. And within a month, I was actually getting requests to do other things. People saw my gig video and said, could you shoot a video for me? And this was back in the heyday of video testimonials and things like that on Fiverr that really you can't do anymore. But my first reaction was, no, I don't do videos. I don't even have a camera. I'm a voice actor. And then I very quickly realized that was a mistake, and I had to go back to that person and say, you know what? I don't have a camera, but I have an iPhone, and that's what I shot the video you liked on, so I can do that for you. And I ended up pivoting my business to not just be voiceovers, but to be spokesman videos as well, on camera work. And then a little bit later, as a voice actor, as an on-camera spokesperson, people began to ask me, hey, do you do any other kind of videos? Maybe motion graphics or animations? And for a long time, I had to say no, until finally I said, I have a customer base for this service. Why not learn how to do it? So I bought some software. I got out there. I taught myself. I spent nights and weekends to learn so I could pivot again and meet a need that was right in front of me. And those two pivots in my business have changed things dramatically. And in fact, today, most of my business is animation videos, marketing videos, motion graphics, things that I didn't even do when I set out to start selling on Fiverr. All that to say that in this current situation today, with COVID-19 kind of changing the business landscape, changing the economy, we have to find ways as Fiverr sellers to pivot on our existing services and serve needs that have just recently come up. For instance, my business started off with a little bit of a dip during this time. I think everybody got scared and quit buying, but then a lot of companies realized that they needed to communicate with their customers about this situation. They needed to change their offerings. They needed to pivot. So guess what? We hit a little bit of a boom because marketing materials are now very urgent, and there's something that people need to put out right now, yesterday. They need a new video on their website. They need a new announcement. They need a new radio ad. And it's all about the current situation. And so we've been brainstorming at Jumpstart for the last week about how we can take the needs that this situation has has created, because it's not about taking advantage of people in their time of needs. It's about finding needs in any time, whether it's a time of emergency. I think it's very important to constantly be able to look at the world, look around and say, what are the needs? Because needs are constantly changing. And with these changing needs, with these changing dynamics in the economy, how do I pivot my services or turn myself to face the customers where they're already looking? In other words, there's a buyer out there somewhere for you. You just have to find out how to package your services and get them to that buyer. And I believe Fiverr is no different. There's constantly trends coming up and different ways that you can pivot things. One thing you can do on Fiverr is actually watch the top menus on Fiverr. Look at the top bar menus. If you look down, there are certain categories that are being highlighted. Like right now in the animation category, animation for kids is kind of booming. Real estate marketing and content is kind of booming. Those things are on Fiverr's front page and on the menu. And you know why? Because they have noticed from search trends and from other things happening in the market that people are looking for those services. So they're starting to highlight them. So for instance, if you are a copywriter and you're in this moment right now in time where coronavirus is causing businesses to need to put out statements and emails and things about their company's situation, maybe you could tilt your services and offer it in this way. Hey, I'll write your coronavirus alert or update for your website. I'll help you craft a beautiful, beautiful piece of content for your Facebook page to tell your customers about what your response will be during the COVID-19 outbreak. You see what I'm doing? I'm taking an existing service and I'm simply pivoting it. And whether it's coronavirus or anything else that's going on in the world, you have to find a way to pivot your services to the needs of customers right now, or you're going to miss out on a huge market of buyers that are out there buying from other people. So just be aware that in these seasons, the seasons of change and the seasons of fear for many people, you don't need to be fearful, as we talked about last week. You should put your foot on the gas, find ways to pivot your services, turn yourself toward people that are already looking for buyers. This is not convincing people they need something new when times are crazy. These are people who are actually out there trying to keep their businesses afloat and need marketing materials to do it, just changing your services a little bit to help them in that time of need. And I believe you'll find a whole new customer base that may be a great source of income and a stream for you for years to come. So don't be afraid to pivot, watch market trends, and on Fiverr, figure out ways to face your gigs toward people that are asking for specific things in the realm of what you do. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me right here on Fiverr Talks. If you didn't know, we do new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Make sure you don't miss them. Come back for this new content all the time. I'm going to be sharing my knowledge about how to sell on Fiverr and really about how to build a business in a broader sense too, because I believe Fiverr is a great avenue to use for that as you're growing your business and expanding slowly and solidly through a gig platform like Fiverr. So again, my name is Joel. I hope you're safe. I hope you're healthy. Stay home. Stop the spread. Let's do this together. And as always, even while quarantined, never stop doing, because the future favors the doers.